gentlemen, I just want to remind you that we actually have an email list and we would love you to join us. If you want to sign up, go to www.thewizardandthepriestess.com and find your sign up button. Join us today. Welcome to The Wizard and the Priestess.
This is not the intro I was promised.
Well, this is the one you got.
That's the one I got.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt has decided we are going to move back from the mystical realms and into the physical. I hit my 5 months postpartum, and
So you're getting back into your physical regiment.
yeah, and I've just signed up to a 6-week challenge to get going. And I also started touch footy again after. You want a funny story?
I still can't picture it. I'm trying.
I'll send some footage.
Okay.
I got on the field after a long time.
Yeah.
And then I just started running, and then I was expecting to catch the ball, as you do. Caught the ball.
I would hope so, playing touch.
You can still catch. But then I went to pass the ball. Actually couldn't pass the ball. It literally dribbled out of my hand, and I was like, oh.
So you're playing for Prenatal then?
Yeah. Division 1.
Good.
Anyway, I sit on the right wing. I can pass left. But yes, so this, I guess, is come after another week of teaching. And Matt really wanted to...
Still in the zone.
Yeah, just share the...
Get the teacher out.
Yeah, get that all out so that we don't have to talk about it. No.
But kind of, yeah.
Nah, I'm all right with here. Very good. So
what was your spark behind... Why was it 5 months? Why now?
honestly, I spend a lot of time in really, as we know, curating a very
Are you busy with 3 kids?
busy. It's pretty slow paced.
It's okay. I thought it'd be really relaxing.
It is very. I mean, you know what? Everything is within its realms. It's busy and it's not. It's also your perception. This actually happened just a few days ago.
You just pointed to your child.
Oh yeah.
You just pointed to your child as you said, "This just happened."
Well, that did happen also,
It did.
but no, my phone died. I opted for a refurbished phone to save the planet, and the phone has been a lemon since day one, and I literally for 2 years now, 2 years 1 month, and then it died. Literally bang on 2 years 1 month, and
Damn.
so I didn't have a phone for 3 days. And it was so freeing. And I realized that a lot of the tension that I create in my home life and things that actually draw me away and fill up my capacity and make things busy is just maintaining contact and coordinating. And for 3 days, I didn't have any contact with anyone. I actually, note this, payphones, they now have free calls.
Yeah.
Did you know this already?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm onto it.
What are you doing at the payphone?
I walked past it. I was like, oh, that's free now.
I was
Where was that when I was 15?
Well, I know. Well, you just did the fast call, right? And then it hung up. You said, Mum, pick me up. I'm at Marina Fair.
I never got lift from my parents.
Oh, you didn't learn the way.
Childhood memories.
Yeah. Anyway.
So that sparked your physical comeback. Payphones.
What I'm saying, you just asked if I was busy, and what I'm saying is since I didn't have my phone for 3 days, it felt like, okay, now I have more capacity.
Right.
And I had more capacity in so many ways. So ditch your phone, everyone, and just keep
touch.
it simple. Yeah, and play touch. Touch feels really good, although my body is creaking. Just had a treatment, so I feel like maybe next week you'll see me out. I might be able to pass right. Wow. What?
I didn't do any brain work, so probably not.
What do you mean?
We'll see.
I just needed the physical creaks gone, and I'm good. Okay. Good to go. And there'll be no more. Hopefully the sledges won't get to me. Also, something that happened at Touch, which I'm not used to, I shared with Matt earlier, was that someone made fun of me, that they were maybe not going to, jokingly, oh, of course I'm going to get this touch. type thing. Anyway, it really hit me. Yeah, I was a bit rattled. I felt really sensitive afterwards. I was like, wow, I'm going home to my baby.
So after this episode, you'll know how to physically equip. Then it will mirror itself in the mind and you'll be unbreakable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So good. That's a necessity. But yeah, so no, I guess coming back to that, I digress. The 5-month mark is not a necessary like point.
No.
I like to make 4 months. I'm really about the slow postpartum with nowhere to go, no place to go. And I don't know that that's necessarily the way to do postpartum. It just feels right.
It works for you.
And it feels like you only get those moments, those intimate moments with your baby, with your growing family for a really short period of time until, this kid, she's still here now, but she's not going to be able to be here probably within the next few weeks. She's going to be too much. So it's a real intimate time. And whilst I wouldn't even recommend being back at work for any mother and to be separated at all. There is a point now that feels good to leave her, and I've left her at home with my partner for like the hour that she's not super stoked about. She actually does really well, and he does fantastic with 3 kids. So thanks, babe.
Shout out.
But yeah, so that I think I'm getting to that point where I'm like, physically I feel stronger, I feel more capable, and now I want to challenge myself in a way to just to build myself back up. And so I did do a Pilates class this week, and that felt really good, and I was surprised that I could do all the moves without feeling any discomfort. Whilst there's weakness, I was quite shocked. But then I did throw myself into a touch footy game the week before that was probably,
You've gone from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, like just slow cruisy, a little bit of toe tapping to like running and passing and being sledged like
only to the left.
Horrible, and only left.
Yep.
Yeah. So Matt.
Yes.
What would you recommend, or what do you think in terms of like exercise selection for maybe someone like me that's coming back to exercise? Let's like throw this all in because you really wanted to encompass like a big umbrella of things. But for someone who hasn't exercised for a really long time, that may be overweight, that is trying to, strengthen their body, strengthen their self-esteem, all those pieces, or for someone like myself who has literally not trained much, if at all.
Let me start with you. So for someone like you, how long since you trained?
Well, it depends what we're talking, because I did do PT every week throughout my pregnancy.
Up until
she was born.
Right.
I was meant to go to PT the morning she was born.
Right.
So yeah, no, I trained throughout the pregnancy, probably from 10 weeks.
So for someone like you, if we could wind back time, there would be prenatal training, like getting your body ready to get pregnant first. Then there would be prenatal training, as in training specifically for trimester 1, 2, and 3, because they're vastly different. There's a lot happening in the body, and training needs to be adapted to that.
Yeah, cool. I really like this idea of prenatal training, because I would maybe not call it prenatal training, but there is definitely like a metaphysical, physical aspect that I focus on in prenatal training of the mind, the body, in a different way, not like the actual physical training you're talking about. So what would what would that be?
So for
what would that encompass?
If you're, let's say we're in the gym, at a physical training
I'm on the treadmill.
session, I would not be on the treadmill.
Off the treadmill.
Off the treadmill. You would be doing functional movements in the fact that you're going to be a mum.
Yep.
So you need to know how to squat efficiently. You need to know how to bend efficiently, push, pull, twist, gait, lunge, all of that. So I'd get you really, really proficient and strong in those movement patterns. Now, the first trimester, that's when I can probably push you the most.
That's a terrible idea. The first trimester is the most like suffocating time.
So back to the question before I was rudely interrupted. From a conditioning point of view, that is when I can push you.
Okay.
From a physiological viewpoint.
Right. Wow, that's really interesting. That juxtaposed what I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
The further it goes, the less I can physically do with
right.
you.
I understand that just from that perspective. Would you say that you think that that's okay though? Like, would you really?
It depends on the person.
Yeah, because I would say that as like from a physiological perspective, where a woman is about to grow like she's growing life in that first 12 weeks, I would not want her to be physically pushed or put any more demands on her body.
Okay, so when I say pushed, quote unquote
Don't
pushed,
use the word.
It would be to a point where I'd have a heart rate monitor on you, and I don't want you to go above 150 beats a minute.
Okay.
And it's more probably strength training rather than
cardio.
When I say train, I'm not talking cardio. I'm not talking
good
circuit training on the treadmills.
Stand it.
No, I wouldn't do that with anyone.
You never do cardio.
No.
How do you
the way you
get
do
your heart?
The way you do cardio is just simply reduce your rest periods.
Oh, this is cool. Note.
So when let's say you do a set of squats.
Yeah.
Then you might do another movement pattern, let's say push. Then another one might be, I don't know, pick one, bend, lunge, whatever it is. So I could do those three as an example. Let's say squat, push up, lunge, hypothetically.
Yeah.
I would probably want you to do each one, let's say a minute. When we're exercising between 40 to 70 seconds, we're actually activating the muscle fibers that produce a toning effect or hypertrophy response. We're getting a metabolic stimulus rather than a neural. And with that, I can just say, okay, 10 seconds between each exercise, 90 seconds rest after the third exercise, and then we'll do that 3 or 4 times. So you're getting the right energy systems working out. You're getting functional movement patterns that will come in handy later on. And because, as you know, the body will go back to what it knows. So if I can get you adequately conditioned in those movement patterns when you're now a mum with a little human that you have to bend down, you have to squat, you have to lunge, you have to push and pull and twist and put down, your nervous system is a lot more capable of doing that. So not only can you physically do that, but your risk of injury goes down significantly.
Yeah, and you're probably more like interesting when we talk about the nervous system, because my nervous system ideology right now just goes straight to that, that sympathetic, parasympathetic kind of sensation, like where you're stuck in overdrive, and having a baby is very overwhelming.
So with that said, that's a really good point, because in prenatal training, that needs to be really monitored. So for you, well, not just you, but anyone in prenatal, actually for any person I'm training, especially if they're think of either ends of the spectrum with, let's say, prenatal or high performance conditioning.
Yeah.
A tip I could give anyone would be I'd get you to take your blood pressure, get your resting heart rate the second you wake up, before going to the toilet, getting something to eat, anything, for 1 minute. So you get that number, let's say it's 60.
Mine would be.
Yours would be?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea. Okay, but yeah.
So let's say it's 60, because average, they say, is between 50 to 90. So we'll just say 60, even number. And on a given day, you were to train, let's say you wake up on a day, let's say it's 63.
Okay.
So it's 3 beats above your average heart rate. So you take that
boosting
over a week, get your average.
Okay.
It's 3 above. This is where you need to be really careful, because your system is pumping blood harder and faster just to keep you alive. We don't need to add a training session onto that to make it more. There's enough going on.
Yep.
Then if it gets to 64, then we completely halve the total volume of the workout. So if you were going to do 4 sets of 12 on a given exercise, for that day you'll be doing 2 sets of 6. I'd keep the intensity the same, but your volume has to be halved.
What are we
because
saying?
that's fatigue setting in. If you're 65 or more, you're not training that day. I don't want your tongue to dry out at all because that's a sign that you're going into sympathetic.
Oh, like cotton mouth?
That's an example, yes. Like how you go there.
Well, that happened to me at touch. So, no good? Terrible?
Just the images I've got in my head now.
Well, get them out.
Just picturing you like a
I don't know.
like a rat with rabies or something, just chasing after the ball.
Fuck you. A rat with rabies? Oh my god.
Just chasing everyone with a ball.
That is even worse than the sledging that I got on the pitch.
Next time you get sledged, just chase them with your cotton mouth.
I can't believe you.
I'm crying.
Most emotional you've ever been. Oh my god.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Can you... You're in a bloody good mood tonight.
I am now. I told you I'd be preparing you for next week, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, and I'm going to be so prepared because all I'm going to think about is myself. It's a rat with rabies. The dry,
I got the
salivating
picture
out,
with like the cartoon,
thick.
like foamy mouth.
I'm feeling like what were you even saying? Because I had a few things to say before you called me a rat with rabies chasing around a ball. Oh yeah, let's bring it back. So
we digress.
So likely my heart rate was going too fast.
Oh, not in that. This is more for first thing in the morning.
If your mouth's dry, first thing in the morning, your blood pressure, your beats per minute is likely higher.
Likely high, yeah. Or higher.
Or have you just been mouth breathing, which probably could make your heart rate go up?
It's probably a bit of everything.
Hey, I just want to note on that then, because through pregnancy, your blood pressure tends to go lower.
Yes.
And then your beats per minute also adjusts accordingly.
Yeah.
So you might think that you could train, but actually you might
There are subtle signs that your body doesn't want to that day.
Oh, I have those subtle signs often. Or not often, but
not even going there.
Times. Okay, you can't. Where were we going? Prenatal training. Okay, you were talking about the nervous system. So we've got to do this. Okay, so let's get our beats per minute, find our average. Once we found our average, we know whether or not we should train. Is this only prenatal or is this for anyone? Anyone at all. Okay, so every day so then, are you a fan of the watches then?
No, not really.
Okay, but how do we do it? Beats per minute is just checking the clock, right? That's how I do it. Or how I used to.
The thing I don't like about the watches is for a lot of people, they seem to disrupt the colon and heart meridian.
Right.
It's always on the left side of most people.
Is that where because
it has a little laser thing that goes in, and it's really easy just to take your heart rate. I'll take it at the carotid artery the second you wake up.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll message you, let you know.
Now, if you're an elite athlete and you're getting your numbers checked throughout the session, and that's a different story.
Yeah, okay.
But for the average Joe out there, a really good way to tell is just to take your own heart rate first thing in the morning.
Okay. And that's a really cool thing to share.
Because the higher your heart rate, the more the system is overwhelmed. And it's the less capacity for exercise you actually have. Therefore, your rest time needs to be longer.
Yeah, and you know what? That is probably a really beautiful, like, holistic understanding too of why the postpartum is so important to stay, because you are going to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Whether that is because you haven't slept all night. Actually, really cool. I love that this happens all the time, that there's always pieces of the puzzle that I've picked up through the day. But I follow quite a few people that do like coaching services and things like that, and especially people that have a great message. Anyway, I follow this one dude, and he's a really cool dude. He talks a lot about masculine energy, and like he's all into energy, and he's done a lot of like brotherhood work and things like that, and his own growth and work on that. Anyway, I listen a lot to these people with a grain of salt, because I'm conscious that they haven't done parenting yet. And I know you haven't done parenting yet, but I feel like you're a slightly different human. But he has had a child now, and now he's sharing.
Is it different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like, his kid's only 7 weeks old, mind you.
Right.
So he hasn't even gone through the phase. Like, he's just going through the hard yakka of like the transition of no sleep now, of no this human screaming at you and needing whatever they need, and you must meet their needs. Your innate need is to help them if they're crying at you, telling you to help them, whilst you're absolutely exhausted because you're used to having 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep, or 8 hours, whatever you're doing, and then all of a sudden your nervous system is like at its capacity. And that's also for the man as well, obviously, because he's waking through the night. So it's such an interesting thing that we actually as a family unit go through this postpartum period, and probably to the prenatal as well, which I would be like, it'd be so important if we could adjust our training to be conscious of prenatal rather than just doing what we
just
normally
doing what they see on YouTube.
Totally. And I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that. But we don't do that now after listening to this podcast. But yeah, it is very interesting, because listening to him and him sharing this story, I'm like, thank you for that, because whilst you can sit there and talk about how we hold each other in a relationship, how we hold the like polar, like the poles, and we connect and we like hold this unity, you throw in a child, and the way that your nervous system used to regulate was based upon good sleep hygiene, good eating, personal space. Like, now you have to experience what it's like to have the world, like literally their world screaming at you. So yeah, what a cool interesting side note.
Well, just a note on those influences, because a student asked me about something that last week where they said, oh, this person said you shouldn't squat, for example.
As in a woman shouldn't squat, a man shouldn't squat,
They just said no one should squat.
Oh, okay.
I said, well, how do you go to the toilet? Fair question, I think.
You sit.
And how do you get into a sit position, Nuala?
Rock to the side.
What do you got, cotton mouth? And I said, so if you look at your influences and they say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's them just trying to stand out.
Absolutely.
Create controversy. Because the real masters and who like actually know their shit will say squatting does this. If you feel pain, you might be squatting this way so you can adjust it this way. You'll never hear a nutrition, someone who knows a lot about nutrition like Paul Chek, Dr. McCullough, etc. They're not going to say you shouldn't eat sugar. They're going to say sugar does this and it creates these symptoms, in the hope that the listener will then, oh, that happens to me.
Discern what feels good for them.
Yes.
And
so they get there on their own, rather than them coming from a point of fear, oh, I shouldn't do that because the guy on my little
on my
screen
Instagram or my TikTok
said I
or whatever
shouldn't.
you're watching. Yeah.
So just a little shout out to those if you're looking for influencers.
Well, this is the thing, though. I mean,
there's so
from
much
a marketing perspective, we know ourselves that what is that called? When you what did you just say? You said it, just the word.
Oh, they're just trying to stand out.
Yeah, but the word that is that going against the grain. What's that word? You just said it. The word that you like, you do something so that you get seen. Controversial.
Right.
Where like that's a marketing 101.
Yeah.
Be controversial so people listen to you.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Yeah, well,
We're just telling the truth. It's a bit boring.
We're not so controversial. Maybe we are controversial. I mean, it's controversial in the sense what we're talking about now. So let's come back. All right. So we want prenatal training so that our bodies are essentially trained to physically move in a way. So when the overwhelm of the emotional sets in and the probably physical for the woman sets, and everyone, because everyone's exhausted in once like you're moving through pregnancy, there's all the different things that unfold. Okay. Did you want, sorry.
Well, it's conditioning your body that you can handle the capacity for that change. So you can adapt.
Yes.
Not only for the man, but for the woman. Now, that's just first trimester.
Hang on.
Different
so
stages.
that was prenatal. Then we went to first trimester where you said, actually, conditionally, I could push you harder.
Yeah.
However, have you ever done that? Because I feel
It's kind
like
of part of my job.
Yeah, I know, but like first trimester, if you told me that I had to train harder,
it's not about training harder. It's about getting as specific as possible. So this is following like a full-on assessment, so I know exactly where you're at. I would iron out the weak links first. That's what the first trimester is about.
First trimester, iron out those weak links.
Get rid of cotton mouth. And then the second trimester is all about building upon that. So you can still lift at an intensity in second trimester, but you might have longer rest periods. You might have not as many reps. So you would all but treat as if they were, let's say, 4 beats or more above all the time.
Okay.
You wouldn't get them to lay on their back for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the weight of the baby can crush the inferior vena cava and cut off circulation.
It can, but it's also like it can do that, but your body knows that, right? I think I just want to make that clear that I have a lot of women that are like, oh, I keep sleeping on my back and like I'm so afraid of hurting my baby. Trust your body, trust your intuition. Unless you are doing something, taking something that is taking you away from your natural state of being and your natural awareness, you can trust that your body knows. As a physician like yourself or like a clinician, yes, you shouldn't be putting someone on their back for more than 2 minutes, but you should be trusting them. But
this is in the gym where they're not really thinking about that.
So you want to guide them, obviously, to make sure that they're...
Well, it's just a heads up. And I'll always have a timer just to say, just lift that right hip. Okay, back down.
Yeah.
That's just like a reset.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we're changing the reps and the sets, essentially, in the second trimester and staying 2 minutes off. 2 minutes max on the back.
Yeah.
What about other positioning? What about legs up high?
That's on the back.
No, it's
You
not.
mean on the front or what do you mean?
If I'm on my back and I put my legs up high, my body's not on my back anymore. I'm talking like shoulder stand.
Shoulder stand? Like a...
You don't do shoulder
No,
stand?
but like a... What are they called? Handstand?
No, it's a shoulder stand where you're on your back and you raise your hips high into the sky.
Like a hip extension?
Your feet aren't on the floor. Your feet are in the sky.
Oh, so
You're in
you're...
a shoulder stand.
Hang on. So you're...
Upside down. My shoulders are on the ground. My arms are on the ground making a
And
tripod.
then everything
and my
else
feet
is up.
and everything is up to
I
the
think
sky.
that's terrible. What function would that serve to anyone?
He's definitely not a yogi, everyone.
My God. Oh, from a yogi perspective, I'm talking from a conditioning.
I mean, I don't know. Okay, conditioning.
That's like doing a wall squat with just sitting with your back against the wall and just stationary with your knees at 90 degrees. Does nothing. Physios are going to hate that. Oh, you get a burn in your quads. Whoopee-doo. Does nothing to help function of the body.
Oh, so you shouldn't do wall sits?
Why?
I mean, I'm asking you. I like the idea of
Now
wall
I'm getting
sit.
cotton mouth.
Obviously, you need work. How's your blood pressure going?
No, I wouldn't prescribe a wall sit to anyone.
Ever?
Never.
I did a wall sit the other week.
That explains a lot.
And I lifted my legs. You told me to do it.
I did. I've never said that
Yeah,
to a
you
living
did.
human being
You
in
did.
my life.
You did.
I told you to stand up against the wall.
Yes. Come down low and then lift my feet off the floor.
Did I?
Yes.
So I'm just going to do this for the camera. I told you to do this.
All right. Sorry, listeners.
think this through.
I will talk to you about what Matty's doing. He's now moving his chair. He's leaning against the wall.
I told
Coming
you.
into a wall sit.
I told you to do this.
Wall sit and now lift your foot off the floor. Yeah.
I've never said that to a living human being in my life.
Well, you told me to do that.
No.
Mate, I'm not making it up.
I think you are. I think you are.
Anyway, Matt has changed his ways, and that's okay. You can change your ways. This was actually prenatal before Aqua.
I would have told you to do that on your back.
Yeah,
doing a core exercise.
You explained to me that that's what you're actually training for. What you just did.
So I was telling you to do it on the ground, but I did it there. Is that what you're saying?
The baby is feeling frustrated.
She agrees with me.
But
So yeah, it's like, yeah. And she's looking at you making those noises. Therefore, I am right.
Anyway, that's exactly what you shared with me. So maybe you've just changed the ways, and that's okay. You can change the ways. I'm not saying that you need to stay the same all the time, but
yeah, we're going to talk about this later.
We're moving on. Second trimester.
Yep.
We obviously want to cool it down, and this is all from that physical perspective. So it's not necessarily from that.
This is purely physical.
Physical, because from like my thinking in that second trimester is it's all about like. It's all about the center, so it's all about the heart. It's all about like the pathway of like the baby's pathway, the direction that they're going, the movements that they're where they're going to go in this life, and the big heart moment, or how they're going to process it, how they're going to move it through. So I mean, you're just talking physically, so I'm just trying to bring it together. It'd be nice if we could, but anyway, we'll see how we go.
We'll get there.
Then we're going into the third trimester, so obviously, where are we at then? We've got a big belly.
So here's where a lot of the exercises would be functional.
Functional exercises.
Weighted, but
what does
not,
that mean?
Well, with resistance. So I'm talking dumbbell, kettlebell, barbell, medicine ball.
What's not functional?
Sitting on a machine, extending your leg out, leg extension. So you go to a typical gym, right?
I don't want to go to a typical gym. I want to go to your gym.
People out there are going to a standard gym, your fitness first, your snaps, etc. And they've got a bunch of machines.
Yeah.
So you can do the leg press, which I wouldn't recommend. They've got a time and place for it, but not for what we're trying to do here.
So we're talking about trimester 3, no leg presses.
Well, in general, but especially this.
Trimester 3.
Yep. Leg extension, leg curl, adductor, abductor, calf raises. You could do all of that, or you could do a single squat. And a squat's a much more functional movement pattern. You squat every day.
Oh, gosh. I don't know why. Of course, I know what functional movement patterns are, but anyway. Okay.
So I would be getting, let's say I was training you in your third trimester. You'd be doing deadlifts galore, all different types. And we'd be doing with all different kinds of objects, like weight plates, then medicine balls, barbell, kettlebell, just different objects, because that baby's going to move.
Yeah.
So your nervous system has to know how to adapt.
Yeah.
To that. So it's different grips. Anything prone. So anytime you're in let's say a 4-point kneeling position, not that you would work much core in the third trimester.
No.
But the mother's nutrients goes into the baby when you're face down, like in that 4-point position. So I'd be strengthening your back in that position.
How do you know that?
What's that?
That the nutrients goes into the baby.
It's just gravity.
Okay. What if the placenta's at the front?
What if the well blows up? What if Dula? What if
well,
you'll get caught
I'm just when someone claims, you just feel like you're claiming it.
That's what the American Gynecology Association said. Actually.
Great. Let's really.
They were my influences.
Fantastic. I'm just saying, like, that sounds like a crock shit.
Is that bro science? Is it? You'd know more than me.
I have no idea. I'm just saying that, like, I don't believe that's like saying you can't eat upside down because the food doesn't go in. Whilst it can be a little bit more like difficult. Like the one thing my teacher taught me was that like we actually, I mean he's very like science, right? I wouldn't recommend eating upside down, but you can eat upside down because you can swallow, and the body somehow, even with the gravitational pull, can move that food.
Peristalsis.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that if you're in your 4-point, I'm not saying not to be in that 4-point position, but it's just
Would you get more blood
feels
flow
like where
to the baby?
Well, it just depends because a placenta can be positioned somewhere in the body, like it can be positioned anywhere in the womb. And remembering the womb is spherical. So if the womb is spherical, therefore the placenta can be anywhere.
Right.
If your placenta is on the left side of the womb, then anything laying on your left side is essentially helping the nutrients, potentially not. Maybe it's putting pressure on it. And I would always be guided by what feels right. So I wouldn't say that being in a 4-point position is necessarily feeding the nutrients to the baby. What it could be doing, however, is giving a bit more space. But then it also, like in terms of like sitting backwards, but I would say that our bodies are created to be standing upright, right? So standing ideally would be the ideal position, or being in an upright position, because that is essentially the way that your body is going to, I'm sort of just making a bit of an educational, I'm flowing here. But I'm thinking that what is that called when we're standing up?
Bipedal.
Yes. So we're a bipedal species. And therefore that position is essentially what our babies have been grown, have been created to be. So leaning forward, whilst it can have an impact, if your placenta's at the front, that's going to put more pressure on the baby leaning onto the placenta. It doesn't really matter, is my point.
Okay, so I'll take that out of your program.
I'm just saying,
after that,
we have to question all of these facts and as that specifically, like you just said it, like it's going to help the baby get more nutrients. Well, we don't actually know that.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for listening. But also, it may. And it may take a pressure off. I think we've got to think of it from the instead of going internal, which we actually don't know too much about, like you could be checking how that's actually opening the sphincters, or how that's putting pressure on certain nerves or certain arteries and veins and things like that. You could essentially assess that because that's where you're trained. But we can't blanket that statement and say, go in your 4 points in 3rd trimester, baby gets more nutrients. Don't. I feel like we just...
So we want to be working out 90 seconds to 3 minutes.
Thank you. Yep.
For that.
Is that all? 90 seconds to 3 minutes?
That's the postural, strength, endurance, and postural fibers.
Oh,
so they don't activate. Different. So your reps and speed of movement. If you look at the number of
because if you're gonna work for a longer, extended period of time, you're gonna reduce the reps. Or reduce the weight.
Reduce the weight.
Okay, reduce the weight.
So if you're working out for up to 20 seconds, so if you do a
squat
for 20 seconds,
you're gonna use big weight.
Well, you're going to be working. You're going to have more of a neurological effect. You're going to have more of a power response, but that's also dependent on the intensity. If you're trying to get muscle, but you do a 20-second set of squats, you're not going to get there because you're not active. You're not working the muscle long enough to get the cellular response that's going to produce a hypertrophy response within that muscle.
And is that for any time, or is this 3rd trimester?
Anytime.
Anytime. Okay, so we need to work longer than 20 seconds.
Yep. Anywhere really from a minute to 3 minutes.
A minute to 3 minutes.
Yeah, but if you're going for 3 minutes, it's a really low threshold, like less than 40% of your max. So if you can lift 100 kilos,
yes,
there's no doubt that you could.
I think I can do a 20. I usually just get the bar.
If someone can lift, so 20 kilos, what's 40% of that? 10 is 50. 10. I got that far.
We should know that it's.
I didn't do well at maths.
Dad.
Yeah.
33 and a third. 33 is 30 is
It's a third.
somewhere in between there. 35.
Is it? No. If your max is 20, which is the typical Olympic bar,
Yes.
then I'd be getting you.
Hang on, so we want to go to the max still? We want to hit
just
something.
hear me out. So you're in your third trimester.
Third trimester.
We're going to do either squats or deadlifts.
Just in my 4 points. Nurturing my baby.
So I've got a new client now. I've sacked this one. So with, let's say, 20 kilos, that's your max. And it might be on a given day because you're exhausted. You're in pain. All the things.
Most days. I mean, this is me.
So then I would give you an 8 kilo weight of some description.
Yes.
And just say, just find a rhythm, a groove, and just do that for like
3 minutes.
90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes ideally, but just keep going and just get a rhythm.
And what would my rhythm be? What am I doing?
That's up to you. I'd get you to find your rhythm.
No, what's the movement?
Squatting. Squatting, okay.
What's deadlifting?
Lifting a weight off the ground, like a dead weight.
Oh, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Deadlift.
Yeah.
So just picking it up off the ground.
And just finding that groove.
Yeah.
But enough that you and I could have a conversation while you're doing it. So I know you're not getting exhausted.
Yes,
doing it.
okay.
So it's getting more of a pumping effect. But you're also getting a postural response.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a low threshold for longer.
All right. Okay, I have a question. Now, obviously, we worked differently throughout my pregnancy with Aqua, but I'm just thinking, like, how many times should I have come to you during that period of time? Like, how often should I have been training?
In what, third?
Well, throughout pregnancy?
First.
Prenatally?
Prenatal, well, you need to get any kind of response. You want at least 4 days a week.
For how long?
This is not being pregnant.
Prenatally? 4 days a week of training.
Minimum. Yeah.
For how long?
Just maintenance, really. And
For
strength
life.
gain to function.
Okay, so I am say I've been overweight, I'm preconception, I'm trying to get myself ready. How long do I need 4 days a week of training?
Ideally, more than four days a week. There's no cookie cut. This is like minimum.
For how long? I'm in preconception. I'm 28 years old.
You keep going. There's no set period.
When do I transition into my prenatal training?
When you are pregnant.
No, you don't, because you're prenatal.
From a conditioning viewpoint, if you're pregnant and then you're not pregnant, if you're not pregnant, then you're pregnant, the training changes.
Excuse me? Can we just go back here to the prenatal training?
So we're in prenatal. So we are we pregnant?
No, we're prenatal.
To me, prenatal training is pregnancy training.
Oh, is that right?
This is coming from like a strength school.
Yeah, I get
lens.
it, but I'm confused now. Prenatal is that. I was thinking preconception when we were talking prenatal before. Because we said
Preconception, you can go crazy.
Oh.
I mean, you still have to take into consider.
But we talked about before when we were talking about.
You just let me take this for a sec. So, preconception training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to call it that. PC.
I'm trying to have a baby. I'm a little bit overweight, or haven't been in the gym ever.
Yeah.
How long should I be in the gym before I make this baby?
Until you make the baby.
Yes.
Until you make the baby.
Yes.
You're training. You're in the gym until you make the baby.
Yeah, but
you're eating well. You are
but
hydrated.
How long?
We're getting you ready
to make the baby.
That.
Yeah, and how long?
We're doing that until. If I could say this, I need to say this in Swedish. Apparently, we need to keep training until you're.
So from birth. Aqua needs to get to training for her preconception journey.
You start Monday, Aqua. You mean how long from like teenager?
I've decided I want to have a baby. How long should I do specifics to prepare my body to be in the best possible position?
Minimum 2 years.
Thank you, Matthew.
It's not even
This is one of those things. This is one of those things so simple. It's just a simple question. How long should I do prenatal training for? Well, you should be just
Well,
training
how
every
long's a
day.
piece of string?
Well, you just told me 2 years, so don't tell me about the string. 2
You fucking
years.
string.
All right, I haven't got 2 years. I want to have a baby next
Well,
week.
come to me last year then.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I feel like I talk to my oldest daughter a lot about these things, and she often
About
tells
training.
no, not training, but about life, and she often tells me that things like what she did when she was 15, and then she tells me about what she did when she was a baby, and it's like I think she's living in the quantum.
Yeah. That explains a lot with that last conversation.
Oh.
Okay. So
Anyway, so I'm thinking now I'm a bit confused because when I was saying before pregnancy, before prenatal training is when the baby's already in the belly.
I think we just had different definitions of that.
Yeah, but it is that I'm obviously have prenatal is when you're pregnant. That's
what I
prenatal
thought.
period. It is.
No one I'm going to argue with you.
Smart.
You've been heckled, so
Mate, I'm one sledge and I'm like, oh, now I've got to really. Anyway, okay, so let's come back. 3rd trimester, we're functional training, we're lengthening the time. You're conscious of where the heart, like you're making sure that we can talk throughout the training session. I love that. That's the sort of training I like.
I know a good referral. It's all right.
Okay, now we're moved.
So we've had child?
Baby has been had. There's been no...
so just to clarify,
yes.
Do we agree this is postnatal?
Yes.
Okay. So from a conditioning viewpoint, if you're healthy going into it and you've had no kind of complications or anything during pregnancy, natural birth, etc., all's gone according to plan.
And a natural birth is a vaginal birth without medication or a natural birth with medication? What are we talking? What does natural birth mean for you?
Just a natural vaginal birth.
Vaginal birth without medication, unmedicated natural birth, or no, no...
Vaginal. It's not specific whether med's involved or not. Ideally without.
Okay.
You can, assuming that you've done the conditioning prior, you can start doing light core work within 6 weeks. Sorry, at around 6 weeks. Safely. Not that you would, you wouldn't go straight to CrossFit, because I know a lot of mums want to get back to their former body ASAP.
And we want to completely squash that idea straight away. That is not what we should be focused on.
It takes at least 23 to 24 months for those hormone levels to balance themselves out.
Remembering that someone who's breastfeeding at any point during that time is going to add whatever amount of time they're breastfeeding for to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
if you've had a C-section, it's 12 weeks.
12 weeks before we start light
Yeah.
abdominal exercise.
Yeah. And that's where you start to isolate the core. So you might do a specific lower abdominal exercise, maybe a TVA exercise, maybe an oblique, something, whatever the weak link is there. And you start with that. And then when that's proficient enough, you start integrating that into maybe some Swiss ball exercises, some body weight stuff. So.
Yeah. We're going to specifically strengthen the core and any weaknesses that are there. Okay, so that's what I essentially did. And then we played touch. So that was the process.
So common one is diastasis recti.
Yes.
Separation of the linea alba of the abdominal wall.
Yes.
So that's best working with the lower abdominals first. So thinking down the pubic bone, zipping your abdominals back up. So you start lower, then work the middle, and then work upper. No crunches.
Oh.
No planks.
Oh, yeah. For how long?
Never. I would never give anyone... I'd give a crunch over a Swiss ball, but that's about it. I'd never give anyone a plank. The plank was ruled out as an exercise by orthopedic surgeons in 96 for the sheer force it puts through the lower spine.
Okay.
Fact checked. Crunches, especially from the ground, if you think the range of motion of the abdominal wall, you've got 40 degrees in extension, 30 degrees in flexion. When you're doing a crunch, you're only doing the flexion from the ground.
Yeah.
There's no stretch, it's only contract. So it pulls you into that posture. And you're not even accessing, you've got less than half of the available range while doing a crunch from the ground.
Okay.
And plus, if you put your fingers in the linear elbow, you'll feel it separate.
When you crunch.
Because it's going from the top down, not the bottom up.
Okay. So we are now
So what do we, let's
moving
say
from
that's
6 weeks.
So that little journey from
6 or
isolation
12
to
weeks.
integration, we'll say anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Now we're at, say, 5-6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Discuss.
Well, we're playing touch. We're going to Pilates.
Yeah. Living life.
Living life.
Yeah.
I would say for most women, I would say probably from the 4-month mark when you've like probably come out of the real powerful hormonal surges that you get to kind of help you transition, to nourish your body, like to kind of really hone in on that. Obviously, if you are a training person, so we probably need to talk to that sort of person as well, because I'm not that person.
Are you a gym person?
No,
Just not
I do the gym because I go to my friend's gym.
Yeah.
But I'm not a gym person. I often joke with my friend, like when I've done like things before where I've trained twice a week, I'm like, they're always here. She's like, babe, people train most days. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, some people just aren't gym people.
Yeah, that's me.
That's totally fine.
Just not a gym person. That's why when
some
you
people
say,
even hate exercise, which is fine as well.
Yeah, so
it's whatever the best exercise Paul Chek says, the best exercise you can do is the one you're willing to do regularly. If that's walking your dog, then walk your dog. If that's lifting weights, lift weight, whatever it is.
Okay, so my 2 years of like functional training that I needed preconception is actually
all waste of time.
just walking my dog.
No, but like walking your dog isn't going to functionally get you
Prepared.
Physically ready for what your body's going through if you're going to do the prenatal. Is that what we landed on? The pregnancy thing and the post-pregnancy thing.
Yes.
You need a strong body.
Yes.
And walking might do that for you.
Yes.
But for most people, it likely won't.
And I can just say, I don't know. I mean, it'll be cool to see our friend Popo's journey on this, to see, because she has been training very well for the last 2 years, and to see how she moves through pregnancy, if and when that may occur.
Shout out, Popo. Light the candles.
And then into the postpartum, because she actually will be able to give us that experience, because she is a gym goer and is trained in the way that she needs to be and moving in that way. So because I would say that a lot of people I know that do gym, they're not necessarily they're definitely coming out stronger, but I wouldn't say they're coming out without all the aches and pains that most people get. But yeah, I don't know what my point is. I don't know if that's because they're not doing the training that they may have needed to do, or is it just motherhood? Yeah. Okay, so now from your perspective, what is your expectation for someone that's been training with you to now be at the 5-6 month mark, or let's say 4-month mark? Because I would say that that's probably a more accurate. From 6 weeks to 4 months, you are essentially rebuilding your body to a point where it feels you might absolutely not be back to where you you wouldn't be but you're at a point where you're ready
you might look at in the mirror to a point,
maybe,
depending on the person.
And I don't think so. I think I think more than anything,
well, I only say that because I've seen it happen, but they look the certain way, but they function
very differently.
It doesn't match up.
So what I'm saying is that where to from there?
Well, it depends what the goal is.
To be strong, fit, and capable mother. That's the goal.
We'd probably go back to where they were
before baby.
I don't want to say preconception because we know where that got us last time.
I just was confused in my head. I thought prenatally, I thought was preconception. Sorry.
So most women that I've worked with want to get back to that sort of body shape / function. Mm-hmm. So we can do that, which is easy enough because the body knows that. So it does that.
Back out with the dog.
And then some have, that 2-year journey. some priorities have shifted. So they might want to do something completely different. But if I'm blanket statement here,
we go.
and I'm talking straight from strength school, for me personally, I want to get someone strong enough so it gives them a buffer. So to give you an example of where I'm going with this, have you ever done a box jump?
Yes.
Did you know, for example, for your spine to safely handle the eccentric force when you come back down?
Of the up, like landing onto that box.
No, coming back down.
Once you jump off the box.
Yeah. Or you're one of those people that just steps down.
What do you mean? It's a box up jump, not a box down jump.
If you jump from a box.
Okay, I haven't done that.
The eccentric loads going through your spine is the equivalent of lifting your body weight 1.5 times your body weight.
Okay.
Doing a front squat.
So for me, we're looking
at
I'm about 80 kilos.
I'm about 80 kilos.
So 120.
Yeah. If I can front squat 120 kilos 6 times, that's this equivalent eccentric load going through my spine for that exercise.
To jump off the box.
Yep. So imagine what running does. It's single leg, a lot of torsion.
Okay, so how much weight's going through the spine in a run?
4 to 7 times your own body weight.
What?
Each leg. This has been measured. Fact checked.
By the gynecologist of America.
No, this is by a physician in America.
Amazing, love him.
Krakovetsky.
All right, Krakalinsky. Where's... Okay, so we've got a lot.
So basically where I'm going with that is I want to get them to a point where they're strong enough to handle whatever they want.
Okay, so 5 times my body weight. Does that mean that when I'm running, I should be able to squat like 300 kilos before I can?
That's your goal before
I don't know a
end of the year.
person that can squat 5 times their body weight.
No, it's going through that single leg. So they've got to be able to dissipate that away from the spine. But for that, you need foot strike, you need glute, core to be able to handle that.
So my touch football debut was maybe a little bit preemptive.
I didn't say a thing. I like the ambition. I will say that.
Mate, other than the heckle, I think I'm doing pretty good.
But you'd be surprised at what the simple act of getting out of a car, the load that goes through your spine, just doing that.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what are we talking about?
For the car? Or just in general?
Well, I mean, in terms of this,
I'm just saying,
how do we even move?
I'm saying,
how can we move safely? We may as well just lay in bed.
Think how far we've come, evolutionarily speaking, from our tribal hunter days.
To being in a gym.
Well, to think of the average person out there who's so deconditioned they can't squat.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these actions we don't have anymore from an evolutionary view.
Absolutely. And so I guess, yeah, like, isn't that the crux of it, right? Like I was saying with regards to my phone being off for like 3 days, all of a sudden I was also didn't have a car. So I was on the bike with 3 kids, trailer in tow, and we were just cruising around. We were like moving our body more. We were really in awareness of what we were doing. When we were hungry, we went and ate. There was no extra thing to do. It was literally just doing those things. I did spend a little bit more money than I normally would.
Happens.
But it was because we were just kind of moving from one thing to the next. And
but take a look at, you just look up native tribesmen and the physical condition they were in.
Yeah.
We don't have that. So we designed gyms. Makes no sense when you think about it.
I mean,
we designed a building to lift up heavy things and put them back down again, so we can remotely look like that.
And again. so that we can sit in a box and do nothing else.
Yeah. And look at a screen that oscillates at us all day and tells us what to do.
We really shouldn't be under these lights. My mate B would be very upset.
Shout out, B.
Um,
So that's just an idea of essentially the required conditioning to handle not only gravity but the eccentric forces
as a human being.
as a human being.
And that is from a strength perspective.
So if
because
you're
obviously we
looking
want
at
to be very...
the average person, a conditioned person, to be able to handle the rigors of gravity in everyday life, healthy person should be able to do 100 body weight squats at a given moment.
Okay.
But most people...
Should we give it a try?
I did mine this morning.
You do 100 every morning?
Not every morning. But most people wouldn't even be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be that.
But you do it for the first time. And I remember when I learnt that. And
You went home?
I did it the next day and I was sore.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to lifting heavy, but not 8 reps.
Yeah.
It's a different beast.
Yeah, I remember actually I did this challenge where I can't remember, you did like 10 squats, then 20, then 25, then 30, then 30,
like
40 every day.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, you're doing like 500 squats in a day. And I got a bottom. Like it definitely worked over I remember speaking to someone and they were like, that sort of thing is a really stupid thing to do because it's like not. But anyway, I did do it and it worked, and at least my muscles grew. And then they went away.
So what else are you doing?
What do you mean?
For your
training conditioning
physical journey?
Honestly, well, get in and out of the car like 6 times a day. Consciously. Today I did my toe taps.
What's your toe taps?
When you lay on your back and you toe tap your ground.
Oh, yep.
I did Pilates, just a standard Pilates class with crunches from the floor, 30-degree angle.
I saw your face when I was talking about that. I gathered.
I mean, do you know what? Like, obviously, it would be fantastic if everyone had this knowledge and therefore programs and spaces were created.
That's where I was going to sort of end with. You know, you do what you can with what you've got.
Yeah. And, so I guess maybe if you'd like to, so what I'm actually going to go to PT tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So what should I do at PT?
Well, shouldn't your PT know that?
Of course, but I'm just asking you.
What I would do?
Yes.
What have you been doing? Can you tell me that?
I haven't. And I'm not good with lingo. I just do what they show me to do.
Okay.
I actually don't know what we'll be doing.
It'll be strengthening hips and back.
Hips and back.
Yeah. So I'll be giving you probably. Ooh.
What about my shoulders? Because that's like actually.
Well, that's upper back. When I say back, I mean upper back.
Okay.
Like to.
Because my like challenge focus for this challenge was to strengthen my upper back for my posture.
Yep.
And to strengthen my lower body, like to essentially it was to get a nice strong bum, and then.
So here's what I'd recommend.
Hang on, I got one other thing, and to strengthen my core.
If it was one-on-one PT.
Yes.
Sumo deadlift. This would be. Want to do a circuit? Do you feel like you can handle the circuit?
I like circuits.
Okay.
How many times I would do the circuit though?
Let's say 4 times.
Oh God.
3 to 4 times.
Yeah. Okay. 3.
4 times.
Sumo deadlift.
Sumo deadlift.
What's
which
that?
Is
Wide-legged.
Wide stance. To create force closure within the sacroiliac joint.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be giving you a conventional because that'll do the opposite. So wide stance.
And turn toes go out in
a little
wide
bit.
stance?
Just whatever feels natural.
Hang on. Wide stance sumo squat.
Deadlift.
Deadlift. Oh, lift the dead thing off the ground.
Lift the dead thing off the ground.
It's a squat though.
It's a bend pattern primarily, so it's technically a deadlift, not a squat. We can get really finicky into that, but I don't think this is the time or place. You're lifting a bar from the ground, then putting it back down again several times.
And I've bent my legs.
Yes. Your knees are bent.
My body's leaning forward.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry, everyone.
That's exactly what's
This
happening.
is just really fun for Matt because he absolutely can't stand this stuff. Okay.
Then maybe I would
All right.
do
Deadlift, sumo.
cable press, but really with emphasis on the protraction of the shoulder.
How do I press a cable?
You get the handle, turn away from the cable, and then you press it away from you.
Oh, yeah. I actually do lots of those things.
But I'd be focusing on that.
Moving it forward like that.
The protraction. So I want you to push through your armpit to get serratus going. So that's like the foundation muscle.
So not actually bending my
shoulder.
arm at all, just moving my
No,
shoulder.
I'd want you to do like the full movement, but I'd want you
Get
to
to the
emphasis and
that part.
do that.
Keeping my body still, but just using the shoulder. Is there a bit of twist?
If you want to do single arm, yeah, but I'd want you to do it double arm first. Just so
Show me how that looks.
So you get used to the movement. So you get full retraction, then full protraction.
Okay.
Then
sumo squat, protraction, retraction.
Then I get you to do an exercise called supine lateral ball roll. All the Czech students know exactly what that is. I think I've got you to do it.
Yes, holding the stick.
Yeah, the stick one.
Mm-hmm.
So I get you to do that.
Rocks to side.
Yep, that'd be the circuit. Those three.
Those three.
Yeah.
How many times?
I'd say 4, and then 2 to 3. Maybe I'd do.
What are we doing?
Forward ball roll.
What do we do post? Oh, it's not a timing. What do we want? 40 seconds?
Sumo deadlift. Could you handle strength?
What do you mean?
Strength's more intensity. 6 to 8 reps. Could you handle that?
I don't know.
Or are you more 12 to 15?
I'm a 12 to 15 light.
Okay. So maybe
I've always liked high reps, low weight.
so 12 to 20 then
Okay.
for that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Why would we do high reps, low weight versus high weight, low reps?
First answer is because you're willing to do it.
Okay.
I'm not going to force.
I'm willing to do it both ways.
Okay. We'd start the high. I heard that as well. I would do the high rep first
Okay.
because I want you to get really good at the movement pattern.
That helps the movement pattern.
Yeah. So we're
What
gonna,
does it do in terms of the body?
It ingrains the nervous system. So your nervous system reckons the pattern. It just takes repetition for it to build
I
that
feel like
software.
I've learnt something. This is just someone who doesn't know training very well, but the higher the strength, the more like bulk, and then the higher the reps, the longer the muscle. Does that mean anything?
It's really hard for women to bulk without injection.
I'm not talking about bulk. I'm talking about like.
Well, you build muscle with heavier resistance, yeah.
That's what I'm talking
You
about.
get it quicker,
Okay.
for sure.
All right. So heavier resistance would be good for why over higher repetition.
To give the tissue more integrity. You're actually going to get more of an anabolic rebound from lifting heavier than lighter.
Okay, but in that sense too, you're also like, you're right. You're making micro muscle tears, isn't that right? So if you're making micro muscle tears, there's going to be a lot more recovery needed.
Yep.
And therefore, would that be a good time? Like, I guess we're 4 to 6 months postpartum, so you might be okay, but you're still breastfeeding.
Yeah.
What would you think? Like, would those
if you were to do the heavier session, let's say, that'd be fine twice a week.
Oh shit, we're training more than once a week.
With at least 2 to 3 days in between. Yeah, you got to do it more than once.
Okay, how many? So how often would I do this circuit? 4 times a week?
No, for you, I would do.
Not for me.
No, I'm just. For me. Hear me out. I would do it twice a week for you, and ideally, you'd do another 2 on your own.
Or
You'd do another 2 sessions on your own, which would be the opposite of that.
what would that be?
So let's say a squat, a pull, and some kind of, what would I want you to do? Jackknife.
What's that?
So that's
like
the exact.
laying on your back.
It's on your
legs
that's
and
your feet on the ball, hands on the ground,
Oh, that's
keeping
a
your
plank.
back still. It's not, and then bending your knees and bringing the ball into your chest.
Oh yeah, I know that. We did that, didn't we?
Um,
I've done that.
I've
before.
definitely showed. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'd get you to do. So that's the exact opposite of that.
How often?
So
How long do I need to train for?
Those two sessions complement each other.
Complement each other, right? You're making the yin and the yang of the training sessions.
Boom.
4 times a week. How long? However long it takes you to do the
Really
times 3.
depends on the personality. It really is the personality. Someone like you might get bored within 2 or 3 weeks. Someone else might say, yep, I'll do
no,
this for
I'm
8
talking about
weeks.
how long the session.
No more than 45. It'll be 25 to 45.
All right, I want it in 20. Can we do it?
No.
25. How do I
You
make
don't negotiate with the trainer. No.
You just said that if I want to go for the, if
Yeah,
I want to take my dog for a walk,
I'm playing the
that's
game.
all I have to do.
I'm playing the game.
Are you trying to make more money? 45 minutes.
My feet just went up. But that's what you would need to do to get that kind of response. But to get the more anabolic rebound, which repairs those tears that you were talking about, you need that anabolic rebound, which is that rest. So you need to rest that muscle group and that movement pattern for X amount of time. That X amount of time is different on everyone. Depends on you on episodes 2 and 3 we spoke about. So it depends on all that kind of stuff.
All right.
This
Not
has been
do it.
No shit. I love wasting breath.
However, I am doing so this is my point. Okay, and this is the point you're trying to make too, and especially for your students, how important it is to have all this knowledge that you've got and to implement it, because we essentially can't do group training. And I love group training. PT for me, I love it because I go and catch up with my mate and we have that time together and that feels really nice. And obviously I feel good afterwards. Like I feel like I've done something and we have a good, and she's been paid and, there's that reciprocation experience. But group training for me, or team sport, is where I like to hang out.
Yeah.
And so hearing you tell me that ideally I'm going to be training 4 to 5 times a week alone, doing 3 exercises for 45 minutes.
I can see how happy your spirit is right now.
My spirit's just
No, but you asked me that's what I would do.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying,
if you told me you were
ideally...
and if you were saying you were doing group stuff, I'd say, cool, do that as well.
Yeah, but you're not, I'm not then getting the yin and the yang, and I'm not doing that. I'm not actually doing what we've just spoken about for the last however long.
But the group can't address everyone. If it's a small group, it can.
Yeah, well, it is a small group.
How many's in the group?
I think it's under 5.
Yeah, that should be fine.
But I'm not going to be doing what you've suggested. But my point is that...
I can write you a letter. It's fine.
All right. But my point is more so that I know, I'm looking at what's available from what I'm going to be doing for the next 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, I know that I'm going to do a Pilates class, which has crunches in it, lots of them.
We'll talk.
Can I then counteract that Pilates class?
Yeah,
or should I just not do the Pilates class?
So if I was your trainer, and you said I'm doing Pilates class, I was okay, great, what's in there? I would...
Well, then I don't know what's in there until I go there, and I can't remember.
But then
all
that's
the moves.
fine, even if you're...
did some side thing.
If you go there
Clams.
and then tell me, then I can say, okay, I'll put something in there to help with that.
Okay.
But for you, I'd use the language of, we can help complement that. I undo it. So for you, if you're doing crunches from the ground, which I'm not saying anyone should or shouldn't do, so I don't want to be that guy. You're
suggesting that it's not ideal because you're not actually getting the full 70 degrees range of motion that you could be doing if you're on a ball.
There's better ways to do it, I'm just saying. I'd give you a prone cobra.
I want to note that because Pilates, and probably people listening to this, or especially the ones that have come this far, are people that are in the pregnancy, prenatally. That's the same thing, right? Preconception, potentially, postpartum. They're going to go and do Pilates because Pilates is cool. And I like it. It makes me feel good afterwards. And you're feeling that tightening. I walked out of Pilates and I went home and I'm like, babe, look, abs. And he was like, yeah. Keep training. Yeah. But my point is that we're getting that body shape.
I would want to educate you on what core is, because the original Pilates from Joseph Pilates is different to what it is today.
Okay.
With the average class. Every class is different. Mm-hmm. In the perfect world,
yes,
you're my client. I know your instructor. And we have
my
a
Pilates
conversation.
instructor.
Yeah, and we have a conversation.
Okay, but I just want to know, we should probably touch on that because Pilates is a big thing. I really like Pilates. It feels like, because there's not a lot of cardio in it, it feels like
Is it
short
mat or
intensity.
reformer?
Mat.
Mat.
It feels short and intense. The movements like fatigue, but then you move on to the next thing. So you're moving into a different muscle group. Feels like it's holistic, using every muscle, or not every muscle, but you're using lots of different muscles.
The key areas, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that goes on to core recruitment.
Okay.
So core is the inner unit integrating with the outer unit, but the inner unit comprises of muscles, the diaphragm, multifidus, posterior fibers of internal oblique, TVA, pelvic floor.
Okay.
That's 5 groups of muscles that have to be in unison for your core to function. When you're doing what's the thing?
Hundreds.
What's the hundreds again? Is that with your legs?
No, I don't know what that's.
Oh, that's when you're
That's
kind
the
of like in a
crunch.
C shape and you're doing that with your arms.
You're crunching.
Yeah,
Literally crunching.
That's predominantly outer unit.
Outer unit is the side, or outer
No,
unit
it's
is
the
exterior?
muscles that you see in the mirror. So that's rectus. That's not
It's not the abdomen.
that's not the
core.
inner unit.
Yes, okay. Because that's why it looks good.
Yeah.
But actually then...
So you're not actually functionally training the inner unit. That's an outer unit.
Okay, so we want to functionally train the inner unit. That's your point.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would show you how to do that. Then with that...
That's what we've been doing.
The
curling under and then the toe tap. Okay.
That gets you to a point where when you do those hundreds,
I don't know. I think
then you know how to recruit properly.
Right.
So you get even more out of it.
You're actually gaining, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got the instructor gave me a few, like, they give you those points, and it was actually, I was like, oh wow, yeah, okay, there's so many more things to recruit here.
Yeah.
So many more ways I can activate. Yeah, and
so your belly button should draw in.
My belly button
as you recruit your core.
Goes in.
It should go in as you breathe out. So if you breathe out and draw in, that's the core. That creates the corset and protects your spine.
Yes.
Because that muscle attaches onto the transverse process of the lumbar spine.
Yeah.
And it draws in, and it assists with rotation as well, but it primarily extends the spine. So when you flex, it shortens. Not shortens, it
lengthens.
Well, the lower portion does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am doing Pilates 3 days a week, say. This isn't really me, but well, for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to do Pilates once. I'm going to do a boot camp. I'm going to do a PT, and I'm going to play touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to do a session.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5 sessions after not a lot of at all.
Decent. So I would condition you to buffer all of that.
Yeah, you're going to, what did you say, undo everything else that I'm doing?
Undo is probably not the fair word, but it's to, they're 5 vastly different things you're going to do.
Yeah.
And
well, you can't undo all of it.
No, but likely there's a part of that that's designed to bash yourself half to death to do all of it. Like boot camps aren't designed to be nice and walk in the park.
Yeah.
Not when I was.
No, they're not. But I feel like I'm pretty like I'll go as hard as I want to go. I won't push myself. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm not the person.
In my experience, most people are that person.
What, they push themselves to the death?
Yeah.
So strange.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
It's like a no pain, no gain thing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not that person.
No.
I'll push like if I'm in a competition with someone.
Yeah.
Like I can.
Do they know they're in a competition with you?
Sometimes. No, like I remember when I was early postpartum with my first daughter, I did like a mums and bubs training session, and like I did 1 session a week, and it was like, and I had a good friend, and we would train together, and I would always like I feel like I'm the cheerleader. Like I'll be like, come on, we got to go hard now, and like I'll push someone to do hard, go beyond where they were comfortable going.
Yeah.
But I also I won't push myself to a point where I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. So for me, I'd want to know what you're doing in each session.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I'd ask what you feel the weakest thing is.
Okay.
Is it running? Is it this exercise? Is it that thing at Pilates? Is it this thing with boot camp? and
So we're
I
going to
would
strengthen my feet,
strengthen that up. Strengthen your feet up, yeah.
my tarsals.
Mm.
Yep.
Your feet need to be intelligent.
My feet are intelligent.
But then when you go to the gym and do the boot camps and probably not Pilates, your feet are covered with shoes. So you lose a lot of that information.
Well, I feel like I generally like to train with no shoes on. Do you train with no shoes on?
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
To have intelligent feet.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. So then once you're, okay, let's say you are, well, forever postpartum, but let's say we're not breastfeeding anymore. We're training 5 times a week. Fucking hell. People do that, don't they?
Well, it doesn't have to be 5.
No,
but
people do that.
To get a proper, like a quick response, you need at least 4.
Yeah.
But you can get away with 2. You'll just get there slower. That's all.
And where am I going?
That's up to you, Nilla. The world is your oyster.
But I'm not, I feel like I'm not necessarily going anywhere. When do I get
We are going beast mode.
Watch this space, everybody.
We're going full just nuts.
All right. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready for the launch. Do.
We're
All
going
right.
hardcore.
I've got 6 weeks, Matt. Do you reckon we can get there?
Yeah, easy.
Beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take some photos and see what beast mode, what we can do to transition.
Or is this more accurately beast mode?
Yeah,
with
definitely
quotes?
beast mode.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what beast you're talking about, but my beast is
this.
Right. I mean, I'm going to be training for 6 weeks. I'm willing to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. But are you the person that trains for 6 weeks and then just nothing?
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely. No, you know what? I will be, once I get onto that journey, I'll start to feel it like I already did.
Yeah.
Like I played a touch for the first time. Dry mouth. Fucking hell. But I did that.
I
And
just picture you with foam all around your mouth.
well, there was no foam. I was just like, is anyone else like dry in the mouth? And no, everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with her?
Sound like my people, yeah.
I was like, well, I'm just dry. I obviously need some water. No, and I felt the endorphins, and I actually didn't sleep all night. And I said to my friend, I'm like, if this happens again, I probably can't play.
Yeah.
Because it was just
your hormones
too
are still
much.
Everywhere.
I don't want to say that. I actually going to pull you up on that, because hormones aren't everywhere. They're functioning beautifully. And when people say that, oh, your hormones are everywhere, it's like, you know what? I'm going to say this though. When women move with their cycle and their hormones go up and down, that is not that their hormones are everywhere. That is them literally moving with the cycle of nature as they're supposed to. Like we've spoken about before, when a woman has her pre-bleed time, her post-ovulation time is a time to slow down. It's a time to release out and let go, just like the moon, full let go, and allow the bleed to come. So it's really important to me that we think about that in our verbiage and what we're sharing, because we make out that this flow is not how it should be. And whilst in the postpartum, the hormones can be different for every person, depending on if you're breastfeeding, depending on if you had a traumatic birth, depending on how things are moving for you. But that hormonal flow is actually holding you. It is not everywhere.
Not the intention, but point taken.
Not trying to. I'm just like wanting to be clear on that.
But that's also danger time, because estrogen's very high.
Okay.
So that's joint laxity.
Yes.
As well. So that's another argument for strength training.
Well, more estrogen dominant through pregnancy than post, because post you're then into the prolactin, and that's slightly. I wouldn't actually know how that impacts the joints, but I would say it's going to have a bit of an impact, especially. Although it's funny, because whilst there'd be more shoulder, physically maybe my form's not up to standard because I didn't have the 2 years of 4 days a week in the gym. But my point is that I believe that there must be something in the hormonal sequencing of the prolactin and how that lands in the body so that you actually can handle more. Because I look at my partner in the middle of the night and he gets woken up and his hormonal picture does not serve him to wake numerous times through the night. He gets really out of sorts. Whereas for me,
so that throws him.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Whereas for me, I wake when the kids roll over, or you know, and that it doesn't bother me. I get like a buzz of like love hormone. Look after them, house them, hold them, and obviously there's moments when you're exhausted and that doesn't happen. But most of the time, she knows. Most of the time, I wake and I'm like, okay, how can I help you? What's the helping hormone? It's like one specifically that really like it's not oxytocin, but it's like something that's might be oxytocin.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's like that.
Yeah.
And I imagine that comes in, and that's why mothers are mothers. And that's full side note, but that's why it's so nice to hang out with mums, because they are constant. Like, I actually met a mum the other day, and she has 8 children. She's 8 children, and she's the most divine human you've ever met. And she, you know, her son is my friend's husband, and so they're 30s. And anyway, she's just like floating, you know, and like being in her presence is just so lovely. She's really got that grandmother energy. But the way I was like, oh, I need to take that, remind me to take that thing home. And then I'm thinking about all the other little bits and pieces. Have we got that? Have we tidied up this? Have we like cleaned this up so that we're not leaving this in a state worse than when we came? And then grandmother energy comes over and is like, let me help you with this. Remember, you needed to take that. How can I help you with that?
Most guys would handle that different.
Yes. Yeah. And they would forget. Like, there's no way my partner would remember that we were going to take that thing. He would help me, absolutely. When I was like, hey, we need to do this thing, then he would help. But it's just, I think there's something in that, and maybe having 8 children opens that even more, because you have to have
it'd have to be, wouldn't it?
A massive capacity.
Jeez.
But it actually, like, I wonder if that's a thing. Like, the more children you have, I do notice myself, especially not having a phone for 3 days, how it's sort of sickening to think that what a change that made in me. Because it actually made me look at my kids more. Like, it changed something really. And I don't want my phone anymore. Like, I spoke to a friend the other day and we were saying, let's just get a house phone. I would rather a house phone and voicemail, and then I can contact you when I need to. But anyway.
I'll train some pigeons that'd be my text.
Yeah, I don't know about you training pigeons, but anyway.
I'd be good at it.
It was really funny, actually, everyone, just to let you know that I didn't have a phone for 3 days, but I didn't contact Matt at all. And then...
Yeah, it was peaceful, wasn't it?
But the way that our pigeons were the workers at the health food store that I would go into and say, have you seen my friend Matt? And they'd be like, kurr, kurr. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd leave, and then
leave some breadcrumbs. Thank you.
And then Matt would come in and he's like, oh, did you hear anything? And they'd be like, kurr, kurr. And then
get the message off their leg.
And like,
worked well.
But yeah, that was,
Shout out.
Actually, thank you. Thanks, Britt. Thanks. Oh, I forgot her name. Sorry, doll. I actually don't know. No, you know. Anyway, beautiful. Thanks, pigeons. Appreciate. On that note, hope that was...
Is there anything else you want to touch on that?
Nah, I think we do.
You've been listening to The Wizard and the Priestess. Thanks for stopping by. Stay connected and be open.